What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks, and we got the main event of the evening. We got Thiago Santos taking on Glover Teixeira. And if you guys have watched the other fight pick videos, which I mentioned in the outro, when you got to do it, I've mentioned why I'm upset that this is not the number one contender bout, which it should be. And this is the thing. The reason I'm upset that this is the number one contender, first of all, if you guys don't know, and I'm sure you do, follow Headline Island. Israel Adesanya is going to be moving up to light heavyweight to challenge Jan Blachowicz.
And probably win.
I am not going to mention what I love to mention about Israel Adesanya. I will wait until that fight is announced, and I'll blabber on to Zach about it when we're done recording. But Thiago Santos and Glover Teixeira got matched up 2 times before this. Glover Teixeira tests positive for COVID, gets rescheduled. Thiago Santos tests positive for COVID, gets rescheduled.
They both got it. They traded,
and they're kind of being like they're getting not what is it? What's the opposite of rewarded? They're being punished.
Yes,
they're being punished because of being tested positive for COVID. Because if this fight happens when it was supposed to happen, and say, oh, Thiago Santos blasts Glover Teixeira first round knockout, Thiago Santos will be facing Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title, or you get Glover Teixeira and he submits Thiago Santos or something like that, dominant decision, TKO, ground and pound, something like that, and Glover Teixeira wins, and then he gets a battle up against Jan Blachowicz. It's like that should have been the case, and it wasn't the case. So that's why I'm upset, and I wanted to mention that. So let's talk about it. Thiago Santos, Glover Teixeira. Last time we saw Thiago Santos, he fought John Jones.
And won.
And I honestly think won from at least – I've only watched it once, to be honest.
Santos 125 for life.
But, yeah, I do think Thiago Santos actually won that, at least when I watched it live. But I am a sucker for underdogs, so, hey, maybe I was just crazy. But
no, you're not. It's a very common –
I did pick Thiago Santos to win that fight. And then, hey, man, looking at Glover Teixeira, Anthony Smith going on to face Anthony Smith, and he beats Anthony Smith and honestly kind of dominates that fight.
That one's not aging too well, though.
We saw the Kutalaba fight and submits Kutalaba as well. Man, I don't know. I'm not going to get too into it, and I like to drag on these main events and let us talk about it for a little bit longer because I like to go back and look at these when I talk about it for a decent amount of time. So let's talk about these fights, man. Glover Teixeira. One thing that I want to mention, and I think a lot of people are hating on, and I'm kind of making it obvious who I'm picking here. And Zach already knows because I
do know. You spoiled it.
So Glover Teixeira, people are talking about Glover Teixeira, talking about, oh, his chin. I get it. He's 41. I totally get it. Looking at the last time he was knocked out, again, and this is similar to what we have to say about Andrei Arlovski, last time he was knocked out 3 years ago, Alexander Gustafsson, again, in the 5th round. And it was kind of a crazy sort of a fight as well. And then you're looking at Anthony Johnson as well before that. Alexander Gustafsson back in 2017 probably should have won that fight, and he did win the fight. Anthony Smith in 2016 definitely should win the fight by KO. Wins the fight by KO. So this is the thing. I hate when people talk about people's chin and say that they're just done when they get blasted by guys who go out and blast people when they fight people. And I get it. Thiago Santos likes to go out there and blast people, definitely. We saw him do it against the current light heavyweight champion, Jan Blachowicz. Absolutely blasted Eric Anders and Jimmy Manuwa. And then again, obviously, we saw him. Who did he totally knock out cold? Was it Marshman?
In middleweight? I think so. It was or Hermanson.
Yeah, so he's knocked out some pretty good people. Gerald Mearshart, he even knocked out Anthony Smith as well.
He knocked out Hermanson. That's why I love him so much.
So I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards Teixeira on this one, and I know it's going to shock a lot of people. So I'm going to lean towards Teixeira on this one, just because what we saw, and I get it. We saw Anthony Smith get held down by Alexander Rakic, and that kind of put a sour taste in our mouth talking about Anthony Smith. I still think we should hold that in pretty like that win for Glover Teixeira in pretty high regard, because Anthony Smith has power, man. And this is the thing. Glover Teixeira going out there and striking with him and going I don't know, man. I want to hold Glover Teixeira pretty well in this one. 61% striking accuracy in that
That's
fight,
really good.
taking Anthony Smith down and kind of beating the crap out of him as well. So I don't know. Can you say that he goes over there and does that to Thiago Santos? I don't know. I don't think he can go out there and totally do this exact same thing. I think there's a lot of scary moments. I think that this fight it probably could go the distance as well, so that might shock a lot of people. But I do think it could because these guys are both very, very high IQ fighters. Um, High takedown defense from both sides. Obviously, Thiago Santos is going to want to go out there and take down Glover Teixeira. But honestly, man, I just like the way what we've seen at a Glover Teixeira recently. It's kind of crazy that, and I think I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but Thiago Santos had to learn how to walk after the John Jones fight. So he hasn't fought for over a year now. So it's been a while since we've seen him fight. But I don't know, man. I want to go Glover Teixeira, man. I'm a sucker for my underdogs. I love my underdogs, but I got to go with him here. I really do. I really like it here. And this is another thing that people like to mention is that, as I mentioned before, Teixeira being the older fighter, people like to say, oh, he's just going to get knocked out in the first round. Thiago Santos is also getting up there in age at 36. He's also been knocked out the same amount of times as Teixeira in less fights. Teixeira has 10 more fights than Santos, and they've been knocked out the same amount of times. So I don't know, man. I do think a Santos KO is likely. This is one of my lower confidence picks of the night. It's not lower than one of my other picks, which if you watch Fight Pick videos, you know. I have probably my lowest confidence pick of my MMA picking career. But Thiago Santos, I do think a KO is likely, just because he's got that power. And Glover Teixeira is older. He has been knocked out before. I do think that could be likely, but I just don't think that it's something I want to lean towards, because if Thiago Santos goes out there and can't beat Teixeira in 5 rounds, so say this: if Thiago Santos can't knock out Glover Teixeira, do you think that there's a chance that Teixeira doesn't find some way to take the fight to the ground at some point? Like, Teixeira is going to take the fight to the ground if it lasts 5 rounds, at least at some point. And again, I see him.
Doesn't mean it'll matter.
Why won't it matter? What do you mean?
Let me talk and you'll find out.
Well, we'll find out why the takedowns of Glover Teixeira won't matter, because I think Glover Teixeira can go out and take Thiago Santos down and keep him there. We've seen Teixeira dominate those positions against Anthony Smith. And again, Alexander Ross dominated those positions against Anthony Smith as well. And Anthony Smith basically just said that he can't handle 205 because people are too big. Basically, he just admitted that. But I don't know, man. I like the odds. It's a lower confidence pick, but I just think that if Thiago Santos can't knock out Glover Teixeira, I don't know, man. I don't know if he can go out there and kind of just dominate a striking match without Teixeira taking the fight to the ground, keeping it there for 3 or more minutes, and stealing rounds. I just think if you're betting on Thiago Santos to just knock him out in the first or second round, it's like, I don't know. It's like, can you really bet on that totally? I don't know. But yes. Hey, we'll pass it on to Zach.
So Thiago Violence, as I like to call him, or the Brazilian warlord. This guy is violence, action, death. Man, this guy will hit you and he will fall. You will fall to the floor and you will not remember what will happen. Your memory will be wiped for a week. This guy is an absolute killer and one of the most insane mentalities I think I have ever seen in my entire life. You tear your ACL, you're not supposed to walk. You tear 2 ACLs, you're not supposed to move. Thiago Santos tore 2 ACLs and he beat John Jones. What the hell? That's one of the most impressive accomplishments I've ever heard in my entire life. You do that, and I mean, I know that he lost on judges' scorecards, but one judge gave it to him. Let's remember that he is the only fighter in history to win a fight on a judge's scorecard against John Jones. Well, he should have. He should have, but none of the judges gave it to him.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like, bring in 7 judges.
Yeah, but Santos 125 for life. Always. It always has been, always will be. Because, man, is this guy, I don't know if I've said it yet, but electric, I think, is the best way to describe Thiago Santos, because this guy will find ways to just explode out of nowhere and just drop you. He was having these moments against John Jones with 2 torn ACLs. I don't think I can. I've said it already. I don't think I can stress enough how insane of accomplishment that is. That might be one of the most impressive things I've ever heard in MMA. What about you?
Definitely. It's a
Yeah,
definitely like because yeah, as you mentioned, not being able to walk, and didn't the knee injury happen early too? Wasn't it like the
yeah, in
second
the first round.
first round really?
First round.
So yeah, being able to do that against John Jones. Obviously, John Jones hasn't looked totally dominant in the past few years, but
It's John Jones, man. And I do want to talk about the Anthony Smith fight because that's the one thing that got people kind of hyped on Glover Teixeira coming back as a title candidate. And I love Glover Teixeira. I do. I love him. He's MMA's dad, I think. He's the daddest man in MMA. But that win isn't aging too well because Anthony Smith, Glover Teixeira had the advantage of Anthony Smith having one of the worst executed game plans I think I've ever seen. Anthony Smith was completely banking on the fact that he could knock out Glover Teixeira in the first, and he was having his way with Teixeira in the first round. Let's not forget. He beat Teixeira in that first round kind of handedly, but then he gassed himself out, and that's what led him to lose the fight. And if you want to know the numbers, Anthony Smith landed 37 significant strikes in the first round to Teixeira's 14, in case you were curious about the numbers. Now, if Anthony Smith can do that type of thing to you, and Thiago Santos is smart. He knows not to overload himself. He will not gas out. He was able to go 5 rounds and win the 5th round against John Jones. He has gone this length before. He has fought better competition, I believe, than Glover Teixeira, obviously in John Jones, and knocking out the current light heavyweight champion, Jan Blachowicz. Incredibly impressive win. Talk about wins that have aged well instead of aging badly, like, Anthony Smith. And now the fact that I'm even having doubts that Anthony Smith will beat Devin Clark, that's not a good sign. That this former title challenger, I'm having doubts that he can beat someone who's unranked at this moment. Because if you're able to hold down Anthony Smith, you're able to win the fight. He's pretty easy to hold down. He's a tiny 205er. And I just don't think that Glover Teixeira will be able to hang on the feet long enough with Thiago Santos in order to take the fight to the ground where he needs it to be. And I don't think he has the cardio at his age to really, yes, he out-cardioed Anthony Smith, but he had the advantage of not having to defend and just sitting on top of Anthony Smith and just beating the crap out of him with no resistance. That fight could have and should have been stopped in the 3rd, but Herzog, in a rare Jason Herzog mistake, let the fight go on too long. But I think I've talked enough. I think that the striking electricity, the power, and the just insane talent, the technique, everything that Thiago Santos has, I think is too much. I think he's going to knock out Glover Teixeira and prove that he is currently the best light heavyweight in the world. I think Alexander Rakic brings him some competition. But yeah, I'm going Thiago Santos, and he's going to win this fight.
Main event disagreement. What was our last main event disagreement?
Khabib Gaethje.
That's right. I picked Gaethje with the lowest amount of confidence, and I typically do that all the time, lately at least. And I'm going to stop doing that, I think. I think this fight...
You said you're going to stop doing that. You picked James Krause Simmons over Chikadze. What do you mean you're going to stop doing it? Come on now. Let's stop the lies.
Depending on how this card goes. If this card goes terrible for me, maybe we'll see me pick smart. I don't pick with my heart anymore, and I will never do that again, but I like to pick with the underdogs. It's not like I even want them to win. Like, I actually really want Giga Chikadze to get a knockout, but I'm picking him to lose. So who knows? But yeah, go check out the other fight pick videos. So save it for the outro. Point is, man, we got a disagreement. Make sure you guys are letting us know in the comments who you guys got breaking the tie. Really, really excited for this one. Finally, we get to see it. Hopefully, we get to see it too. That's another thing. But yeah, point is, man, make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and make sure you guys also check out the other fight pick